Greetings everyone, my name is Kanyambo Dlane. I'm a first year student and today I will be doing my voice performance on a dramatic prose called The Long Con. I really hope that you enjoy my dramatic prose. This story or this dramatic prose is about a woman who wanted to adopt a child that was given up for adoption, but then she knew that the child, it would have been a huge mission to get the child because the parent, of course, the parent said yes, but the parents said yes because they were facing issues, and that later the parents would not agree to the adoption because they fell in love with their kid. So now she's battling with her child, and she's battling with getting the child. And I knew the girl would never give up her child. I knew before I asked, and that is a sort of deal you make when you're young and naive and facing execution, and the idea of a child is so far away that it is an easy thing to give up. But I asked her anyway, knowing that she would say yes then and say no later. How she wept when I came to collect. Oh, the tears that fell over that sweet, poor babe. How she begged and pleaded that I spare him, that I release him from her promise. I thought the guessing game was a nice touch. It kept her busy for a few days and gave her hope. And all the while I was working, I baked and cleaned and made sure the Queen's message overheard me singing the naming song in the dark woods. She was so proud when she guessed that name. The triumph in her voice, the relief in her eyes. I saw on a show for her, and she ate it like it was a porridge that was just the right temperature. How? I screamed. How did you guess that name? I stomped and ripped and shouted. I believe there was a spittle, and that I'm certain my face turned red, and then I left. I went to my clean cottage, that smell of fresh air, fresh bread, and waited. The child was not yet walking by the time the whole kingdom knew the twisted man in the deep woods, and the clever queen who outsmarted him. The young princeling heard the story at his mother's knee and saw daily the huge rent in the floor where I had stomped my foot in rage. Servants and peasants would watch him pass and whisper about the boy who had been saved. At first, it was enough that the story was about him and that it ended happily. He enjoyed the attention, as any child would. He would demand to hear the story, and when his mother reached the end guessing game, the prince would yell, "Rumpelstiltskin" with her. I heard them in my forest home and smiled. Because soon he began to wonder. "Why, Mom? Why, Mama?" he asked. "Why did the strange little man want me?" And the queen had no answer. The older he grew, the more it ate at him. Why had I asked for him? I could have had treasures, powers, half the kingdom, had I desired it. Why had I wanted the baby? The princeling was a handsome enough child, but his curiosity kept him inside, scoring ancient and dark tomes when he should have been learning sword play and horsemanship. The riddle of his importance rode him to the long conference of the grizzled smooth-swayers and the dready mystics and the old witches who reeked of the potions they brew. I believe he would have been a good king and had not the mystery ground at him until he was ground in mind and body, and as the ancient had he commanded the daily. He passed over with his father's chose as an heir, but then but by then he didn't care. Not the curious young prince. 20 years had gone by and he had no more answers. Then, when he was a bright-eyed baby, so he put his mind to a new pursuit, finding me. He rode away one foggy gray morning, and his mom wept, for she knew she would never see him again. I think she finally realized the truth. I had taken her child after all. He found me. I let him. He stood in my little cottage, as twisted and ugly as I was, dripping swamp water on my floor, and he asked, "Why?" Consider this your first lesson, I said. Any common thug can take what they want. The pleasure is in getting the prey to come to you. His eyes gleamed as he saw in my words and the promise of power, of knowledge, of joy, of chase, and I had him. He was mine. Any cut-rate scorer can make beauty from Jews. The real magic stood before me. A prince became a monster. Gold spun down the straw. Thank you so much for listening to my oral.